I'm Jesse. I'm a queer and I love horror movies. Now, tonight I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite horror films of all time, and it is Candyman, directed by Bernard Rose. It's from 1992. It's based on a short story by Clive Barker called The Forbidden. I haven't read the short story. I'm not too well versed with Clive Barker's fiction. I've read some of his short stories, but I've seen Hellraiser and Nightbreed. I'm a fan of both. Might do a review of those sometime in the future. But this film is not directed by Clive Barker. This film is directed by Bernard Rose, who, this was the first film of his that I saw, and I loved it. And he also did the film Paper House, which is one of the greatest fantasy horror films ever made, I think. If I can get that on DVD, I'll definitely review that. I'm sure you all know what the story is. Candyman is this mythical figure who appears in all of these urban legends, prefiguring mostly around this area in Chicago, especially these projects known as Cabrini Green. Now, the main character, who's named Helen, she is working on a thesis paper about urban legends, and when she hears the story of the Candyman, who supposedly is a man with a hook for a hand, and if you look in a mirror and say his name 5 times, he'll come out of the mirror and kill you. So Helen hears these stories of the Candyman, and she assumes that these stories are really just made up by the locals, who are attributing the daily horrors of their lives to a mythical figure. But as she digs deeper and deeper into this foreboding mystery of this Candyman figure, gradually she starts to learn the truth. Now, when I first saw this film, I saw it maybe 3-4 years ago, and I didn't really know what to expect from it. I assumed that it would just be your average slasher flick, I thought that was going to be nothing special, but the minute the film started, I knew I was in for something different, because in the opening credits, the film grabs you with this unique, cyclical, rhythmic score by Philip Glass, which uses lots of organ and choir. Very unusual for a horror movie score, and the camera is flying over these shots of Chicago, and you're gazing down at all these buildings and these projects and things as this music plays. You're sort of looking down on Candyman's domain, and from the minute that the opening credits started, I knew I was in for something special. What the film really deals with, through the character of Candyman, is the power of urban legend, the power of story. It's implied, although the film can be read in many different ways, it's implied that Candyman exists solely because the people believe in him. And as a urban legend, as a mythical figure, he operates, he can only exist if the story of him is spread and people fear him. Kind of like Freddy Krueger, only on a much more subtle, classy scale. And throughout the film, the reason that he goes after Helen is because she doesn't believe in the story of him, and so he appears to her in order to sort of coerce her, and in some cases force her, to be the next victim in his line of victims, and thus, by becoming his new victim, will continue on his reign of terror, that he will continue the stories that are told about him. And that's what the film is about. It's about the power of urban legend, about the power of storytelling. Oftentimes, when we read a book or see a movie, the characters in those pieces of fiction feel more alive to us than the people in our normal, everyday, waking lives. The people in our dreams feel more real to us than our friends that we see every day. And I think that's what the film touches on. It touches on how belief and faith is such a powerful thing, and storytelling is such a powerful thing. In this case, it makes it into a literal metaphor where believing in something makes it real, if you want to read the film that way. And it's a fascinating look into sort of the psychology of people who believe in monsters, about how people ascribe supernatural events to normal, everyday, violent occurrences that they aren't ready to accept or explain. The residents of Cabrini Green really if you look at it logically, you could say, like Helen does in the film, that they're really only ascribing these violent events to Candyman as a way of coping with the horrors of their daily lives. And it's a very interesting sort of little critique or a look into the psychology of people who believe in urban legends. And it's got kind of a seductive quality to it too, because who wouldn't believe in, who doesn't find urban legends intoxicating, when, even if you're a rational person, when you're sitting around the campfire listening to stories, don't you feel a little bit of a rush, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of intoxication at hearing a really good, creepy story, even if you don't believe in ghosts? And that's, I think, what the film is saying. Can a mere belief in something give it power? And it's a fascinating film. It's got an incredible foreboding atmosphere. Bernard Rose, as he did in Paper House, makes an excellent use of location to tell his story. And he knows that in urban legends are attached as much to places as they are to people. And the slums or the projects of Cabrini Green in this film, when Helen and her writing partner investigate this place for the first time, it almost feels like they're going into the gates of hell, like they're stepping through some kind of void into this world of darkness, that once they enter, there's no escape from. He fills all of the scenes in Cabrini Green with such foreboding power and such mysterious, otherworldly atmosphere that you could believe that at any moment Candyman's going to spring out and attack somebody. And as I touched on before, the score by Philip Glass is amazing. It's similar to his other work. It's very minimalist, lots of ostinatos, repeating themes, and things like that. But he uses a very heavy organ in it and choir, which gives it this mythical Phantom of the Opera kind of feel, very Universal monster movie type atmosphere, and it really helps kind of class the film up a bit. And the cast is uniformly excellent. Virginia Madsen is believable and strong as Helen. She's not a waif. She doesn't succumb to pressure. She's very strong-willed and very, very likable, very believable. You want her to succeed. And Tony Todd as the Candyman is a force to be reckoned with. It's almost as if the real person that inspired the Candyman legend was absorbed by this powerful entity, this entity that existed based only on belief, and used the form of the man who became the Candyman in order to spread his message, to spread his dogma. And so you don't really, you get a sense that there's a real person in there somewhere, but he's been warped and twisted by so much years of belief and conjecture and theory and urban legend. And he's fascinating to watch, and the movie is also filled with many creepy, surreal sequences, such as where he hypnotizes Helen and kisses her, and bees come out of his mouth and his chest, and it's a fantastic scene. And the ending, surprisingly, is also great. Endings are one of the hardest things to pull off in any medium, but especially horror. You have to give an ending that feels emotionally satisfying, that doesn't make the audience feel cheated, and I think in this respect, Candyman succeeds massively. It carries through on all of its themes of the power of myth and of storytelling, and it's got just this great, almost grim sense of comedy at the end, this sense of ironic, of dramatic irony or turning the tables, and it's a fantastic ending. It doesn't go anywhere that you expect it to. You're never sure what's going to happen to the people in the film, if anybody's even going to survive, if the legend of Candyman will continue. You don't know. And it populates the film with characters, as I touched upon, that you care about. Virginia Madsen, as I said, is excellent as Helen. She makes a very sympathetic character. You care about her. And so with a story that's compelling, great acting, and characters that you believe in, that you want to see live, you want to see them do what they do, it all adds up to one of I think, the classiest, most elegant, and one of the best horror films of the 1990s. It's got so much more in its mind than just violence, and anytime a horror film does that, anytime any film does that, I think it's worth celebrating. So I would definitely recommend it if you're a horror fan. Alright, thank you very much for listening. This was my review of Candyman. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like or a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you very much. See you guys later. Bye.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding? With my hook for a hand, I'll split you from your groin to your gullet.